they have. It's not enough. Some don't even have at all. We will get to that when we want to talk about drugs. So this sugar is actually, you've broken it down, you've chewed it, it's already there in your system. It's much. It's not being taken off to give you that energy that you need. And because it's there, it will now end up going the wrong way.
That is why you have them in the urine?
In the urine.
Or in the blood?
In the
so that means
goes into the urine.
Yes, it goes to the urine. You can find it in the urine and you can find it in the blood.
It's not just in the urine, but by the time you don't even take care, mop it up and take care of it.
It will go to a lot of places.
It will go to other places,
okay,
the eye and the
Fine,
rest.
we will come to that so that the viewers are following. And doctor, you have told us there is a substance, there are things that catalyze, that will make the food to break down fast so that the body will get the energy. And those peculiar things are what you call the insulin,
yes,
which helps in that process. But in diabetes, there is a challenge with the insulin, that hormone. What is the challenge?
Yes, with diabetes, there is a challenge with the hormone called insulin.
Okay.
Like I said, is that insulin that helps your body make use of the sugar, the food that you eat.
Okay, especially carbohydrates.
Especially carbohydrates, protein, and even your fats.
Okay.
Those are affected by that hormone. So when you don't have enough of that hormone, that can happen in the different types of diabetes, or when you don't even have it at all, that food you have taken will not be properly taken care of. And what happens? It accumulates in your blood.
That means excess glucose.
And your blood sugar would be high.
Okay, great. That's simple enough for us to understand. But what is important now? Okay, a patient.
I still have issue with that, because when she was talking, she said something like people who are diabetic in nature getting weak.
We will reach that.
But I know that a lot of times, a lot of them eat so much and they're still weak. So what happens to
we will go there. Those are the signs and symptoms. We want people to understand it, what it is, what is the cause, and then we're going to say, how do you a patient, you have been to the hospital, doctor, I'm here, what is my problem? The doctor will do some tests, will ask some questions, will do what we call discussing with you. So doctor, when you discuss with your patients, how do you determine who is a diabetic patient?
First of all, it's not also every patient that would come in with all the symptoms of diabetes. But most of the time, the people that would present to you would come in with urinating a lot, going to the bathroom to urinate at night or even during the day. They will complain that they keep feeling like they need to drink a lot of water. Some would complain that they are losing weight. Some would also complain that they are feeling weak, especially because they urinate a lot, they do not get enough sleep. Even the blood sugar in their body, because of that lack of insulin, the body is also not making use of it the way it's supposed to make use of it. So those are some of the symptoms that the patient will come in to the hospital with. There can be other things. Some of them can have other symptoms that is not necessarily associated with diabetes. They can even come with fever, other infections that can happen, especially in patients that have diabetes.
Okay. What is the definition of urinating a lot? Is it like 3 times in a day? What's the definition?
Let's ask the pharmacist.
Well, you see, when you want to talk about the layman coming now, somebody that is really, at times they don't even sleep at night. They don't sleep
at 3 to 4 times urination?
Up to 5 to 6 times.
Excessive urination.
Excessively.
Okay, that's good.
And as they are urinating, they are also testing.
Okay.
They are drinking water. Some of them don't even have all these symptoms. Some of them could be that they have a wound, and the wound has just refused to heal.
That could be a sign for them to determine whether they are diabetic.
They now go further, they go see the doctor runs some tests on them. And some people basically, they could even overlook the issue of urinating. Some dogs now become wise, manage the rate at which they take water at night. They train themselves. It's all about mindset. They could manage that and will suppress those symptoms. But the wound refusing to heal actually could be a pointer, even especially when they are being if the wound is well taken care of.
Okay.
using antibiotics.
We will come to that because it's good for our viewers to get a clear picture. I want to make it simple in the sense that, there is this belief, I'm here, I urinate, somebody's urinating. Then there is these ants that come near the urine. I was going to point out. They come there in the urine. Some people think it's spiritual. The ants is passing, there's a urine in my, all the ants are gathered. Some people in the village could say attack. But let's ask the doctor, is it so? When there are ants?
There have been instances where people have actually complained that on urinating that ants visit. The truth is that, it also depends on, like I said, it's not every patient with diabetes that comes in with the complaint of, oh, I'm going to the bathroom all the time.
Okay.
But usually for those of them who have diabetes and they are going to the bathroom all the time, it means that the blood sugar is so high that the kidney is no longer able to keep it back in the body.
Okay.
So they urinate it out.
Okay.
So when they urinate, there will also be some sugar in that urine. So ants can visit because of the presence of sugar in that urine.
And that is why you see at times we tell people or we tell viewers that when you urinate a lot and you see ants, that is a pointer. There's a need to go to the hospital and find the experts. But having said that, to be point blank, how do you now diagnose the level of sugar to determine that the patient is, you have said, excess glucose or sugar in the urine? Is that enough to say because we need glucose in our body? Is that enough for you to say that the patient is diabetic?
No.
What factors will determine that?
Definitely, that is not the way to diagnose diabetes.
Okay.
In the past, some people used to check the sugar in the urine, and they used to use it to make diagnosis. But we also know that some people with diabetes do not have sugar in their urine. So it depends on the level of their blood sugar in blood. So the test that we run to make diagnosis is through the blood. We do several blood sugar. We do what we call the fasting blood sugar. Is that sugar we do after you have fasted, that is not taking any food for at least 8 hours.
Okay, so it's best done early morning.
It is best done early morning. That is after you have fasted for about 8 hours. Below 8 hours, what you have eaten could still affect your blood sugar. So we have to not eat for a minimum of 8 hours for that test to be accurate.
Okay.
Also, we can do the test after you have eaten. 2 hours after you have eaten, your blood sugar can still be checked, and that can help us in making the diagnosis of diabetes. There is also another test that we call a hemoglobin A1C. It's a big word.
Okay.
But what does that mean? It's just that your blood sugar gets attached to some cells in your body, what we call the red blood cell. And that can also be measured. We call it hemoglobin A1C. And it's also a way of, because the more your blood sugar, the more the sugar will attach to those cells, so they can be picked up when you do the blood test.
Okay. Doctor, you have diagnosed your patient, as you have told us. You have now analyzed. Now, the patient is worried. I'm diabetic from all the indications, from all the analysis. I get fear. The patient will say, am I going to die? Chronic ailment, all this management.
Killer disease, they call it
Killer disease. You need to commence management. But for the purpose of clarity, I believe we said there are many types of diabetes. Am I right?
Yes, there are. We have so many types of diabetes. We have what we call type 1 diabetes. We have type 2.
Okay.
We have the one that can also happen in people who are pregnant. It is called gestational diabetes. And we also have other diabetes that can happen as a result of some medication that a patient is on, like steroids.
Yes. Okay.
Which
What
is
is steroid?
Steroid is
So medicines.
is
They're
a
just kind of
medication
medicines
that
At that
people
time,
take.
yes.
They can use it to help with if there is some irritation,
Allergies.
or some allergies. Some
And these
people
fat
do
guys that
Have
make
you ever
like
heard of
this,
have you
yes.
ever heard of prednisolone?
No.
Dexamethasone. Have you
These
heard
are
of
all
it?
some of the drugs. But when you see these guys that all
They have been building up
they do take
muscles.
some. But for the purpose of getting more understanding of the types of diabetes, doctor has just told us. I know at times they talk of borderline. Somebody say latent diabetes.
Yes.
Is the one of juvenile, young
Juvenile,
children
yes.
diabetes. Why is it juvenile? And then maturity. What do you mean by that?
Well, you see, when you talk about juvenile diabetes, you're talking about it occurring in children.
Okay.
When
That's
you
juvenile.
because at times, yes, children. Because basically, there's this notion that it's supposed to be in adults,
Okay.
matured adults that are down with it. But for children, you call their own type
Juvenile
of
onset.
juvenile onset of.
Why do children have it?
There are so many factors that can predispose people, genetical factors.
Yes.
And there are some abnormalities, especially type 1 is what they call, you hear them say,
Autoimmune.
insulin-dependent diabetes. The type they call juvenile.
Insulin-dependent
Yes, that means
diabetes.
automatically that patient is going to depend on insulin.
Okay,
And
that means
mostly
there's
it
some
happens
who
in
don't-
children. Yes, childhood
Okay.
disease. Like we said, genetic factors can be possible, and some other autoimmune diseases could be some factors. And then the other maturity one is the adult diabetes, and that one that's the one they called
Type 2 diabetes.
and that's the most common one, isn't it?
It is actually. I mean, in African countries,
Okay.
especially, the commonest diabetes that affects up to 90% of our people is type 2 diabetes. It's just less than 5% of our population that gets the one we call type 1 diabetes that happen in the younger population.
Okay.
So this type 2, you say, is for adults. How do they contract it? Is it genetical as well?
It actually, one of the factors is family history. Family
Genetic
history
factors.
is a very significant history. If your father or your mom or your sister has diabetes, you have a higher chance of getting diabetes.
Good. And also to summarize, because we need to go on break, there are other causes, like she has said, environmental factors that we
Environment?
know. Yes, environment. What I mean, lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
Okay, people's lifestyle, yes.
Especially processed foods,
Fast
healthy
food.
fast foods, facilitating factors, taking alcohol, and a lot of smoking. Some of those are factors. Even some drugs, use of certain medications that are not correctly done.
All right, so we'll take a break.
Break and then come back. So it's getting interesting because we need to know how
I
to
need to
manage
ask a lot
diabetes.
of questions. So we'll quickly go on that break. We'll be right back. The program is Conversations. Don't go away.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take its pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start up the conversation from something on the TV and say, oh, you know.
For me, it's like, hurry up with this business. And the other one said, Auntie, it's not about me, it's about the guys. They're not ready to marry.
Yes.
If she wants to ask something, no, I know my mother very well. In fact, the most interesting one is when I put up pictures on WhatsApp, you know, Snapchat filters and all that, she will call me, remove that picture. There was a day I got tired of all that and I said,
The
program is Conversations, and you haven't missed much because we're still talking diabetes. We have a team of experts. They actually included me, and I said, okay, which part of me?
You're supposed to be the expert patient.
The expert patient.
So you tell us what happens, how you feel.
All right. Speaking on behalf of other patients,
Yes.
you were saying something which I was enjoying. That's
Yes.
environmental factors. I still want to hear more about that, Doctor.
Yes. In the past, we used to think that diabetes happens more in the developed world.
Yeah.
But what has happened? We now have a lot of diabetes in the developing countries because we are beginning to emulate or do things that other people do. Our diet has changed. We eat a lot of fried food.
Cantons.
We eat a lot of we drink a lot of sugary drinks. We no longer go to the farm. We no longer walk around. You know, people get driven by their
Sedentary
drivers.
lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle. So these are some of the factors that have led to the increase in the number of people with diabetes. And as we speak, in Nigeria, as of 2013, we have almost 4 million people with diabetes.
That's a problem, you know.
That's a big
That's
one.
quite
There
a
are so
lot.
many
That's a
factors,
big
like she
one.
has said. Are there factors in children? Because every now and
Well,
even
you
the
see,
children.
she talked about, while she was introducing her, she talked about their auto causes, reason, genetic reason, autoimmune.
Yes.
We had a case of a little child of about 10, 12 years on admission.
Yes.
And honestly, even the dad, being a medical personnel, a doctor, was wondering, he wasn't a diabetic. I think then, the dad is not, the mom is not, but the girl was.
How did it happen?
Well, that's even a question everybody asks, but she was managed. She was actually diabetic, and it was, in short, the problem with the challenge we had then, because it's a type 1 type of diabetes, she had to be on insulin.
Okay.
She had no insulin at all.
Okay.
For those with type 2, they have a little, or what they had is resistant to what is supposed to do in their body. So for her own case, an autoimmune disorder, she had to be placed on insulin.
You're making me
Okay,
really scared. because I buy a lot of ice cream
yeah,
for
because
my
let me
children.
tell you something. You know, when I introduced earlier, I told you that the scientists who were working on diabetes, and one of the scientists said it's centrally located, or the disease of the pancreas. There is a gland, the pituitary gland,
Yes.
that secretes an antidiuretic hormone called the anti-ADH, antidiuretic hormone, which is supposed to be responsible for controlling the fluid intake. But when there's excess of this fluid, it has been shown is a genetical factor that can cause it. So that can affect mostly in children.
I just spoke grammar now.
Yeah, I mean, just to explain,
So just
simply put.
I didn't want to mention that
Simply-
is diabetic insipidus, but I don't want to say that.
That means
So
there's
I
no
want
sugar. In this very case, what she's talking about,
Yes, ADH
you
could
don't
be a
look for
cause.
the sugar.
Yes,
In
it's
this
not
very
it's not insulin now.
Glucose is not the problem. Sugar
Yes.
is not the problem.
No more insulin now.
No more insulin.
There's
Insulin is
that
not.
other hormone.
No, there are two things involved. I want to get it right. There is a sugar problem.
Yeah.
There is a insulin problem. At
Yes,
one
we
point,
can,
does- okay.
we can
Let's
actually
I expect that from the
clarify.
patient. Good, you are discussing, you are asking.
Yes,
you can see
good,
the
yeah.
layman in it.
The-
So let's give her some enlightenment.
The type 1 diabetes, like we have mentioned, there's a hormone in the body. It is produced by an organ in the body called the pancreas.
the
It is
pancreas.
located on the left side of our stomach, the upper part.
Frank.
Let's use the. So it makes the insulin that helps. But in children, in those that actually have what we call type 1 diabetes, for some reason,
Yeah.
the body feels that that organ does not belong to the body and begins to eat it up.
Yeah.
So it eats up the cell in that pancreas that produces the insulin. And that's why they have type 1 diabetes, and that's why they are dependent on insulin for their treatment. Diabetes insipidus is a different kind of disease, and we'll probably talk about it another time.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm getting it clearer.
So
I'm
now
getting confused.
the
I
doctor
just- I
has
still want-
diagnosed.
I still want to know about management. Please, just
That's
take
where
us-
we are going to now.
Okay, okay.
That's what
waiting.
we have finished. We have understand the disease. We have understand the symptoms. The solution, management. There are various forms of management. like we have said, we are looking at it holistic. Management could be in the drug therapy management, it could be non-drug therapy management. Let's ask the doctor, how do you commence management?
Like Hajia has said, management of diabetes requires a lot of people to be involved. It is a holistic affair, because what we want to achieve is to get your blood sugar under good control, to help you avoid complications, bad things that can happen from diabetes. So for the management, we have medications, and we also have non-pharmacological, or what we call non-drug therapy for diabetes management. So for the medication aspect of it, we have different medications, which some of them can be taken by mouth. We'll at some point have our pharmacist talk about that. So there are some medications you can take by mouth, some you can inject. For the non-drug therapy, it's a holistic approach. Hajia will talk about the nutritional aspect, which is a very, very important aspect of diabetes management. We'll also talk about exercise.
Great.
Remember, we talked about the fact that people who don't do a lot of activities are prone to diabetes.
Okay, that's good. Now the drug, now the medications. Can the patient afford it? What medications are there available? The doctor has prescribed. The patient. Elizabeth,
I don't have diabetes.
No, I'm not praying.
No, I don't have diabetes.
Conversation, that's good. Somebody you know.
Okay.
You don't have to have it. Somebody, you don't forget you are representing the patients.
Okay.
Are you denying the patients now?
No, we're all together.
And the doctor has prescribed the medications. Off you go. No other place than the pharmacy. The pharmacists, what happens to that prescriptions from the doctor?
Well, the prescription gets to us from the doctor. The doctor has seen the patient, and I think our ultimate goal of that patient having that prescription is having good glycemic control. You might ask me a question, what do I mean by
yes.
the ultimate goal is let that sugar level come to its normal level. So it's not just getting the prescription and giving the patient the drug. We need to educate the patient on the reason why one is being prescribed that drug and why the patient needs to take
the drugs.
Okay. When and how. And the reason why they need to continue. It's not a one-stop treatment. It's a management that is going to last, will I say, a lifetime.
Okay.
Some people could go off it, but you need to prepare their mind. It's not like you having malaria, you know that, okay, by the time you're giving drugs in the next 3 days, you're done. No.
Okay.
They need to be cancelled.
Okay.
This treatment, this management is going to take a very long time.
I don't like
let me
drugs.
just ask
so
that
what
question.
will happen to me? I don't
Let
like
me ask
drugs.
the question that the medications, this is a chronic disease. This is a disease that is on the increase. Those medicines, the medications, I know there are some group of the drugs that we give. And I know that the patients with constant uses get to know their drugs, get to understand and buy their drugs. But are these drugs affordable? Are they available for them to use? And after the usage, the duration of therapy, I'll come back to the doctor. What is the next step?
Well, if you want to talk, we need to, like the doctor had rightly said, we have the ones taken by mouth, because by the time I say oral now, my patient's sitting before me now tell me what's an oral medication. We have those you take by mouth, and those the one you inject. We've been talking about insulin all this while.
Yes.
Insulin are the ones you inject, and there are various classes.
Okay.
Various types.
Okay.
You have now, especially for those you're going to put, that it depends on how the prescription the doctor brings. She could talk on that aspect, but if the doctor brings it, for those that are taking the injectables, technology has actually made it easy.
Okay.
Now that we have the pen fill.
The pen fill.
Pen. It's like a pen.
Beautifully. Okay, biro.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Beautifully packed.
Oh, really?
You could even put it in your purse, in your wallet, go with it. and the pen preserves it. As long as it's in the case, you can, that is actually preserved.
Okay.
Then we have various class. We have the basal one, insulin glycogen is part of the basal one.
Okay.
We have the premix.
These are different types. The viewers will not.
Then for the oral, we have different class.
Okay.
Which, if you want to talk about breaking it down, you have 4 classes. But the basic one, if you talk about diabetes, the first drug that will come to anybody's mind
that most patients
know is
Insulin.
not insulin.
Okay.
It's
they
glucophage.
know insulin, yes, or that is glucophage.
We all know that once you talk about diabetes,
It's
if you don't
insulin.
have insulin, go and buy one.
So let's
But you see, people frown when it comes to issue. Patients these days, there are some, especially the elderly ones. You know, basically diabetes. I could say, will I say 10 to 20% of most elderly patients end up being diabetic.
why
Age
complications.
Complication.
Okay, let us now. We are
and they
talking.
frown at using the use of insulin.
Insulin.
They think by the time you give them insulin, I can see doctor smiling. By the time you give them insulin, they think they are gone. Their case is over.
But they always
that's
say
where
that
we
if you
come
don't-
in.
if you
Yes,
have
that's where I
insulin,
want
That's
you
where
to
we
say more
come
about
in.
the
That's
insulin.
where
Yes.
having a relationship with your patient is very, very important.
Okay.
For me to start a patient on insulin, you have to have a candid discussion with that patient.
Okay.
You have to have established some kind of relationship where your patients trust you,
Okay.
where you have always taken them along in their care.
Okay.
Because before you initiate a treatment, it's important for a patient to
Understand.
okay, this is what this disease is. I understand that this disease is not something that can be cured. It's not malaria, but it's very, very manageable. And when you manage it, you would live a good life. They need to understand that.
Yes.
Okay.
They need to also understand that there are complications that happen, that your eyes can be affected,
We'll come to
that
that.
your kidneys can be affected. Those are some of the things, when they understand it, it is easier for you to initiate any kind of treatment that you want.
Doctor,
in a
without
patient.
cutting you short, there's something I've always heard about diabetes and insulin. That once you have diabetes, you don't go near insulin, otherwise you become dependent for life. But if you manage it without, taking insulin injections and all that, you can actually get cured. How real is that?
It is actually just a belief that is not very founded.
Yes.
Because I have started a lot of my patients on insulin. I have
Okay.
also taken them off insulin. There are reasons to start insulin, and there are reasons to take off insulin.
Yeah.
So insulin is not a death sentence at all.
Well, based
That's
talking
good.
on that for insulin, that's for the injectable. Then when you want to talk about the orals, you have the insulin sensitizers,
Okay.
where we have a metformin belonging to, it's a baguanide. You have a metformin belonging to.
Yes.
Then you have the sulfonylureas, which are also
Groups. They are different groups.
different groups. We have the
Yes.
first, the second, and the third generation. Common example among the sulfonylurea, the first generation is no longer used because of its side effects.
Side effects.
We have where you have the chlorpropamide. The second generation are popular Glanil.
Okay.
A lot of people know, and the generic is Nabenclamide.
Or Amaril.
Amaril is the third. Yes,
I know
Glucophage is
viewers know that.
Viewers
Any
know
diabetic
that.
patients
Then
know
there's
that.
another one, they call it, that one delay the absorption of carbohydrate, because we've been talking about carbohydrate.
Yes.
You eat it and you have a lot of sugar in your body.
So you
An
need
example that belongs to such class is Acarbose.
Yes.
So you
That's
take
the common name.
the
brand
common
name.
name. I know why people shy away from that. You see, it causes a lot of flatulence. You won't want to take a drug that it's a wonderful drug. They use it in combination with other drug, where you want not just a single therapy, a monotherapy. You use it in combination with metformin or any other. But we have newer classes of drug that even mimic, you understand, the action of even the indigenous insulin itself.
Okay. That is good. We are talking about drug management, which we have discussed. But the very first critical management is what I call the nutritional and the diet management. We all know that the diabetic patients, the moment they see the doctor, the moment the drugs, is an incomplete counseling without changing of diet or nutrition. And you look at the classes of diets, which we all know. We know the carbohydrates, we know the proteins, we know the fats especially. These are issues that we need balancing. To balance the calorie, to reduce calories so that you can be able to stabilize the glucose. And some of these carbohydrates, you know, in those days, they will tell the diabetic patient, don't take any carbohydrate. But as science, medicine is dynamic, it was realized that most patients had some symptoms that warrant the need for diabetics to be included. However, there are specific classes of carbohydrates, the high fiber carbohydrates. When we talk of the high fiber carbohydrates, we are talking of carbohydrates that like you're talking of the Irish potatoes, we are talking of the some of the proteins, we are talking of the oatmeals, the wheat. Let us look at the things that our people can afford, the things they can eat. Acha, I'm sure everybody knows about acha. This is found in the plateau. We also have the great unripe green plantain, you know, because it has a lot of fiber. Once it is ripe, it is not suitable for the diabetic. But at the initial green stage, excellent for the diabetic. Green fiber, and there are various forms you can put them to. And then we also talk about soya beans, the bean, the pulses, the peas, the lentils. All these are groups. These are group of wholemeal cereals that is good for the patient. But what is important is to determine the quantity. I'm not saying because you need to eat even rice. There is brown rice,
everything.
and our traditional rice are
In
wonderful now.
moderation.
So they
In
must be moderation. You don't
Yes.
just say because you want to eat rice, you take a whole bowl of rice and eat it. There is a kind of good course meal, a lot of vegetables by the side. Fruits are also encouraged, but let's try and not take foods that are too sweet.
Like pineapple?
Yeah, to me pineapple at times facilitates the release of glucose. But foods like pawpaw, excellent. Watermelon,
pawpaw is not
watermelon,
sweet.
the one that has the, yes, it's not sweet, but is a fruit. You take the pawpaw and you look at the, what do you call it? You look at the watermelon, which flushes the kidney, apples, pears. There are so many fruits that are encouraging. But the ones that have a lot of glucose, the moment you are discussing with your experts or doctors or pharmacists, will tell you this is what you need to check and this is what you need. But you find that is boring for diabetics because of the diet. They say, oh, I'm tired, I cannot eat this whole grain. Brown bread is there. The whole wheat bread is there. All these are good examples of food that we can.
And yeah, I know it's a friend.
Yes.
Who will tell you that he wants to eat what he wants to eat.
Yeah.
So what he does is goes to squeeze a bit of aloe vera and olubu and then put it in a glass cup.
Yeah.
And then he goes back, takes his carbohydrates the way he wants it, including ice cream. As soon as he's done with it, he picks the cup of the bitter mixture and drinks it. Detoxify, that's it.
He's
Does
not
it
an
work?
expert. He's not an expert.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, there could be complications, there could be tendencies. You can see that he's self-medicating himself. The expert should tell you and should manage you. So like I said, nutrition and diet is very important. Then I talk of classes of minerals. Because with increased diabetic, especially as we are going to talk more about complications, you find that some minerals are lacking in the diabetic patients, maybe due to secretion or due to depletion. What are we talking about? The minerals, we have zinc, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chromium. These are things that we know. But good enough, they are found in these diets that we have talked about. So apart from balancing the diet, you are also checking out these minerals that are missing. And then when I come, I must talk about some natural remedies, herbal remedies. I'm specific about herbal remedies because a lot of research has gone in to identify some herbal products, herbal remedies that have that anti-diabetic effects. There's a lot of, have you heard of the plant called Momordica caranta? Balsam pear. The Chinese package them now in tablets. You go to most of these, I know our patients go to the pharmacy, you see nutritional supplements. I need to talk about supplements. They are functional foods. They are believed to have a medicinal value. But it's always good to discuss with your expert. Discuss with the doctor, because the doctor and or the pharmacy should know that you are taking this in addition to the drug. because there's what we call drug-drug interaction. There's also what we call drug-herb interaction. And there's even what we call drug-food interaction.
Yes,
Drug-food
what is
interaction.
that one now? You take, there are some certain food that when you eat and take with drugs, you understand, they interact.
They could cause an increase or decrease in the
Okay, let me tell you,
effectiveness of the
try
drug.
taking any iron preparation. Something that contains like any of your multivitamin that has iron with a cup of tea and see how you will feel.
No, tell me how I feel. I don't want to try it.
You see, like
You
for
have
example,
this bloating, there's a chelating that is formed.
Yeah.
You'll be nauseous, you have bloating in your stomach because a complex is formed with the calcium that is contained in that milk that you use in preparing the tea and then the iron that is contained in the hematinics.
So just like I said, that's why you
Even
need the
grape.
expert. Yes, grapes are usually not taken with any
You
combination.
don't take
grapefruit.
yes.
So
You take it
if
in
I
a-
squeeze my grape ordinarily,
you should
I shouldn't.
take it.
Really? I didn't know. What about
Even
orange?
if you take garlic, take garlic with some of this antihypertensive.
Yes.
Because it has all those antihypertensive properties.
Yes.
Garlic, you see ginger, they interact.
That is why, for example, let us be specific. You see, garlic is known to thin the blood.
Yes.
In management of diabetes or hypertension, the doctor will prescribe aspirin, 75 milligrams aspirin. Why does he do that? It's to thin the blood to allow flow. So you see, when you have a patient on aspirin
And he's not
taking
taking
garlic,
garlic.
there is what we called aggravating effect. That is why you always discuss. Or for those of us, if you feel holistically you want to address the issue, I would say, when you are taking aspirin, don't take garlic. When you are taking the garlic, you
Don't take aspirin. Okay.
but that again, subject. Like I was telling you about the medicinal plants that have experts that have done research on. I gave you an example of the balsam pear. There's
You didn't bring it down home.
what I say is common. I gave you the botanical name Momodica caranta, but I mean, we need to talk these things because some people, when they go to the supermarket, balsam pear in the management of diabetes. But again, you need to look at the dose. You need to look what you should take. That is why we're emphasizing more on diet. And then there is cinnamon. I see them all over. I'm saying that because of practical example.
And what
cinnamon vera.
what is available
Yes, what
around
is
us
available? You
here.
see, a lot
Go
of
to the
people take
market.
cinnamon. Cinnamon has been researched to have anti-diabetic. The bitter leaf. Why are people using bitter leaf? NIPRID is researching on importance of bitter leaf in the management of diabetes. There is a component in bitter leaf that is being isolated that is undergoing trials.
Is it when I cook it for soup or maybe make juice it? How best to take it?
You see, in most cases you are asked to, like me, I will tell you that in aspect of dosage, I will say 3 leaves of bitter leaf in a glass of water, 250 ml. Blend, take the juice. Additional, you can add lemon.
One caution.
Yes.
That should not replace your drug
That is-
therapy.
Okay.
Nobody will tell
And
you.
it does not replace that's your self-medicating.
Yes.
It does not replace you going to see your doctor, go
These are supportive therapies.
Yeah, they are
We call them
supportive
supportive.
therapy.
And
But it has to
especially
be
if they are foods.
Yes.
Yes. So these are the aspects we are looking at. And then the research has shown that antioxidants. There are antioxidants. These are things that fight free radicals. We find that as complication goes on in diabetes, there's a SS. She will tell us more about the lactic acid reaction. Maybe I don't know, is it lactic acidosis or what you need to tell us? So let's move towards complications of diabetics.
Okay.
Have you experienced that with your patients, and what would you advise?
Okay, there are different complications of diabetes. Complications of diabetes can come even as a result of your treatment or as a result of the diabetes not being well taken care of. Some of your medications, what are the essence? Is to bring down your blood sugar. So, and it's important that when you start these medications, you need to be communicating with your doctors. You also need to be checking your blood sugar. We have what they call glucose meters.
Okay.
They are sold in different pharmacies and they can help you to check your blood sugar. The reason is we don't want your blood sugar to go so low, so that it does not affect you, because some people can pass out with low blood sugar. The blood sugar, even being low, can affect your brain activity. Some people can have what they call epilepsy, even with low blood sugar. Some people can have dementia. That is when they are no longer able to think very well, or they are not able to have
coherent
good conversation with other people. They don't really understand what, they're not really able to interact because their brain is not functioning the way it should. So that's also why we want to prevent that. And you do that by having regular checkup, visiting your doctor.
Okay.
In terms of the complications, when your blood sugar is also very high, it affects almost every part of your body. It can affect your kidneys, it can affect your eyes, it can affect your nerves.
Okay.
That's why some people would complain, oh, my hands feel like...
Numbness, is it?
They don't feel like mine.
Yes.
Okay. It feels like I'm matching on
needles.
a foam, or it feels like something is pinching, or like when I step on something, I don't even feel it. So that could be a complication, is the nerve being affected by diabetes. It can affect your heart, your blood vessels, they get blocked.
Oh my God.
People can have stroke.
The patient is getting worried.
Yes, they can have heart attack.
Complications.
With all that, you're still asking the patient to go and exercise. Where are they going to muster the energy from?
No,
that is a very valid point.
Yeah.
But the truth is, why we're talking about the treatment is to prevent these complications.
Yes. Okay.
When patients are appropriately taken care of, when their blood sugar is where it should be, these complications that we are talking about would reduce. But if you leave yourself, you don't attend your clinics, you stay at home and you self-medicate, that's when you begin to see these complications that I am talking about.
Okay.
Well, to add to what she just said, we've been talking about sugar being high.
Yeah.
That's hyperglycemia. We tell diabetic patients to stay away from sugar.
Yes.
But there's a point where it will be, if it is very low, how would you know the symptoms? There's this tremor, shaky, you're sweating.
Isn't it? Sweating.
The advice. So they are even advised to have a tag, I am diabetic, one in the bag. And for such case, the best treatment is get a bottle of Coke or a cube of sugar and put in their mouth.
That is true. What we also don't want is a situation where the patient also overdoes by, you now take all the bottle of Coke or the bottle of Fanta. We advise that if you are feeling the symptoms where you feel shaky, where you feel like, I can't really think the way I used to think. Oh, I'm feeling very sweaty, I'm so hungry. The essence is your body is telling you your blood sugar is going low. What do? That your glucose meter that I talked about, you use it and check your blood sugar.
Well, doctor, sorry, I'm coming in. Some might not, it could happen on the way. It could happen on the way.
Like?
In the bus.
Okay. Or...
Okay, that's the essence of carrying it in the bag. Okay.
Yes.
I'm diabetic.
I'm diabetic.
Okay.
It could happen in the bus.
Okay.
While you're walking. So for such case, one is advised, even if it's a cube of sugar,
you take it.
Have it in your bag.
But some people are ashamed of even saying
they are diabetic.
What is there to be ashamed of?
It's all about enlightening
why we are enlightening people on this disease.
The essence of you being enlightened.
That's the program.
We talk on a lot. We had a case of a patient that said a lot of canvassing is being done for other chronic illnesses. Mm-hmm. They make a lot. They like create awareness, sensitize people, and even look for fund
to support. And you can even add, that is why we now have the World Diabetics Day.
Yes.
Which is 12th of November. It's celebrated worldwide to inform, to educate. Let people know. It's not something you should hide about. It's something that can be managed, effectively managed. You know, I look at diabetes in a way. I look at it: do the right thing, eat right, walk right, and exercise right. That is what diabetes is telling you about. You know, in those days, early days, our parents were using the whole food. They eat the whole food. The bread is not processed. They were having that.
I used to go to my grandma.
Yes,
the food is cooked
freshly
immediately and
prepared.
eaten immediately.
So that's what he's telling
I
us.
know
And
there's this notion of it's not my portion. Why
That is the spiritual angle now.
Yes, it's not
We
my
need
portion.
to
It's
tell
not-
people-
Some people, you give them the drug, like
Yes.
Dr. rightly said. Some
Yes.
people become this
They can't
complication.
take the
They won't
drugs.
take the drug. They could take it, start and feel
Good
okay.
for
They are getting good glycemic control. They are better. They stop it. The next time they bring them to the patient, the hospital,
already
they could either come in unconscious or their case is really.
And that's actually the essence of educating our patients.
Yes.
And that's what we are trying to do now. That your patients, when you come in contact with them, you should educate them. You should tell them what the disease is all about.
And
you
they
should
can manage it.
tell them why they should manage their disease. And education of our patient is very, very key and important. Because when they understand that they would avoid a lot of things by taking their medication. When they also understand that there are a lot of people out there with diabetes, that
And
they
are
are not
living
the
a
only
healthy
people.
life,
Yes, that there are people who have diabetes that would live long. It just depends on how you manage your disease process. And when they understand that, it's easier for them to take care of themselves, take care of their medications. And you were also talking about it could happen on the road. And that's why I tell my patients, there's nothing to be afraid of, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. Take your glucose meter wherever you go. Have your sugar tablets, if you have it, or your sugar in your bag. Have your, what you call sweet, in your bag. Let your colleagues know what your problem is, because that is very helpful. Assuming they see you and you're not able to help yourself, they can help you. But if you keep hiding, you're putting yourself more at risk.
Okay, Haji, our time is almost running, but I want to know from you, what kind of exercise can a diabetic patient do, like lifting weights?
There are so many simple exercises.
Walking.
For me, the cheapest exercise, walking.
Brisk walking.
Walking is good for you, and then if you can go up better, jogging, but there are certain exercises you need to find an expert opinion whether you can undertake that. But the easiest and cheapest, because we should look at diabetes holistically. You find some poor people have diabetes. They don't have money to buy certain things. But for exercise, walking, swimming is an excellent form of exercise. When you sweat, we believe that some of those excesses of glucose are even in the sweat. So that's the best form. So less sedentary lifestyle. Those of us that work in the offices, you must know that it is time. There is oxidative stress in diabetes because you sit a lot, you are somewhere, mental stress. You need to manage this. And the expert have spoken, the expert has given us. So I believe now that viewers are well informed. Management of diabetes is not a death sentence. Diabetes is there to stay, and it can be managed effectively. More researches are going on, more discoveries are going on. So, conversation.
And for once, I feel like an expert. Well, I've loaded myself with information, and I'm going to go out and spread it. Haja, thank you so much. And Doctor, thank you for coming. Our pharmacist, thank you too. And don't worry, coming to visit you won't be with maybe all those. I'm going to come back, visit you in your hospitals, and drink a cup of lemon.
Tea?
Lemon. Now, if I say tea now, you tell me sugar.
Without sugar.
And if I go to her, I should give you a lubu. All right,
In a rich soup,
it's been a real wonderful chat for me, and I've learned a whole lot. And I want to believe that you have done the same too. Conversations continues some other time. For now, it's bye-bye. And your name again?
Salamatu Arakwelu.
Zainab Sharif, your usual host. Thank you.
My humble self, Jem Frances Chukwu.
All right? And of course,
patient
I am Doc. My name is
Supporters.
Elizabeth. See you some other time.
NTAE brings you the best of entertainment.
I thought I was being sarcastic.
I went on to do other productions.
Everything music.
Hear what Rich one is saying.
If you look at the platforms of
For a particular product.
They call a new school playing.
That in the hot we go carry
the hair go come and
got the smell.
Somebody sad, you feel it.
I love you,
just a little. I love this.
Chop, they are already washed.
To a president.
They depended on Jesus.
What else can I do? Get a shower cover and dancers.
Watch these programs and more on NTA Entertainment. NTAE, your one-stop entertainment channel.
Issues in the sports sector remain one of the most debated among Nigerians due to the passion, followership, government involvement, impact on Nigeria's external image and our national life in the sports parliament. The NTAE offers Nigerians deep views on issues with experts in the sports sector.
Nigeria's agricultural sector to experience monumental boost in the next 4 years with billions of dollars investment initiatives underway.
Air traffic engineers across Africa converge on Abuja to improve safety in the aviation sector.
Towards achieving the digital switchover deadline, National Broadcasting Commission addresses loose ends.
Plus, Abike Dabiri Arewa commends Adewale's appointment as President Obama Foundation, says it is a testament of Nigerian projecting the good image of the country in their chosen fields.
Thanks a lot for joining us. So, an overall investment of 16 to 20 in forestry.
AFDB.
Over half a
Is Nigerian woman saying
to roll air traffic capacity
in the air.
It was
55,000 personnel